everybody, good morning. This is Jean here, Jean Truelove from Truelove Quilts for You. I hope you're all doing good. I'm having a very lovely day. We're having our son and daughter-in-law for dinner tonight. I gotta go make dinner. But I've just finished working on half of my project that I'm doing a little tutorial on, my vintage Hankie cushion. Which my last video, I showed you how I stabilized and interfaced my vintage hankies. Oh, somebody said you can buy hankies. You absolutely can. Be very careful, like on Amazon, which I love, or any other sites, that they're actually vintage. Now, I was showing you, did a little bit of a show and tell. These hankies that I am using, or that I have found at thrift stores or estate sales, or flea markets and garage sales, are actually vintage. They're very thin. Some of them are almost little silk. You could use scarves. They have, and they're a little bit expensive. And the reason I said that is I went back and looked, because somebody did say, oh, you can buy them fairly cheaply, a dozen for $9 or something. You can, but they're brand new cotton and not the vibrant colors, I think, of the actual vintage from the 40s or the 50s or the 60s, the little works of art. They are so pretty. They are so pretty, and if you want to use them, that's absolutely awesome. But just the actual vintage ones, then I was looking up, I thought, oh, that's so pretty, and it was vintage inspired, brand new, which is awesome. For inexpensive. But if you can, you want something special, or if you do want to commemorate your auntie or your nana or your mom, it's just so nice to use their own really vintage pretty ones. Somebody did ask if lace doilies could be used. Yes, they can, but totally differently. I have made a quilt with using lace doilies, or lace embroidered lace tablecloths or pillowcases, the edges of them. That's a little bit of a different thing, because you don't stabilize them or interface them, because you want to see the lace through, or you want to see the fabric through the lace. That'll be another video, but yes, you can do that. But this one, I am making just a cushion cover, and the video to follow is in depth, pretty much how I actually attached my ruffle. I've just taken this off my machine, and there is my ruffle, my yellow striped ruffle, why I chose that, and also how I measured, which I did. I've been making these ruffles forever. When I started to sew, and then when our daughter was born, after 7 boys, I made tons and tons of ruffled and lacy dresses. So I got ruffling down to a science here. How I actually measure and sew without any gathering threads, or without any pulling up the bobbin thread or anything like that, to get a really nice, even, full ruffle. As I was saying, this one is 3 times ruffled into my actual cushion cover. I will be showing you in the video to follow how I chose the backing. Now, I'm making an envelope closure pillow cushion cover, which is, you're never going to see the back. I make a little bit of a song and dance how I chose my backing. If it does get flipped over, it's very pretty. That's all that I'm saying. It could be a reversible pillow cushion. Now, I will make my next video, when I'm doing my envelope closure, I will make it slightly smaller. My ruffle was put on here about 1/2 inch, and I'll just go in maybe another 1/4 inch or so. So my ruffle will end up a little bit smaller for my envelope closing. But then again, I will show you that in my next video. This is a lovely, I have an 18-inch square cushion cover form, pillow form, maybe a little bit big as I'm looking at it, but I quite like it. It's pretty. It's really nice. Shows that so pretty. And then I'll be showing it on our master bedroom, which I have my vintage tablecloth square quilt that I did, and it picks up this vintage hanky, all of the colors. And again, you'll see why I chose what I did. So I do hope you enjoy this video coming, how to make in-depth tutorial, how I make ruffles. You could do this on anything, ruffled on a baby blanket, on a little girl's dress, cushion covers. So it's how I do it. Okay? I hope you enjoy this video, folks. Thanks so very much for following along. I really appreciate it. All right. Love from the Trueloves. Have a good day. Bye-bye. I've gotten to the point that I'm going to be choosing the fabric for a ruffle. This is going to be an ultra cutesy, ruffly little pillow or cushion cover. for my bed. Now, when something has multicolors, I see pink and blue and yellow and white and green. So what I do is I squint my eyes, and all of a sudden, two colors pop out. The pink or the yellow, for me. The pink and the yellow. Obviously, the pink is the bolder, and it's popping out. But I also see yellow when I squint. Now, there's just a little bit of yellow, but to change it up, because I'm a pink and green girl, I'm going to be using a yellow for my border. I quite like that. My bedroom, as you know, is yellow. That we inherited these yellow walls, sort of the same color as that, and we've never changed them. I've always had a pink bedroom, my husband and I, but we're too old to paint, and it goes pretty. And I have my lovely vintage tablecloth quilt on there, so this is going to be with those prints anyway. And I'm going to choose the yellow just a little bit. Now, again. You'll say that, oh, Jean, your go-to is a pink and white. Okay, I really love stripes. I usually use stripes for my bindings because it just gives an added pop. But I thought I'd pull my stripes out to see for a ruffle around here. And obviously, the first thing I did pull was the yellow, and then I did go and I pulled a green. Which really go pretty. Which really go very pretty, because that's the same sort of grassy green as this one also. You have to be careful with your greens. But then I looked in my stash, and yes, I do have a pretty yellow. And I just think with my yellow walls, or as you can see with my yellow mat, just a little bit of a ruffle around the edges of my pillow, it's going to be really pretty, and maybe perhaps just slightly unexpected. Now, also, I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to make my ruffle. But then I was thinking about the back of the cushion. I always do a envelope closure on my pillows, okay? And you need a little bit more fabric to do it that way, but I overlap, and I will be showing you how to do that. So I could have just used my plain white for that. But I went to my stash and I thought, well, since it's such a pretty pattern here, this lovely vintage hanky, even if it gets tossed around or something, I want to see the back. So I picked out that from my stash, okay? Which is a pretty palest yellow, and then the actual pinkies and the greens of the floral. But I was looking at that and I thought, when I do an envelope closing style, which I will show you how I do it, this pattern might be a bit too sort of staccato, and I couldn't match that up as well. And again, I will come to that. Then I pulled this one, and I thought, oh no, that's miles too busy. But it has the yellow predominantly, but nah, that's way, way, way too busy. Then I thought, well, Jean, you want an overall print. Here's one with the pale yellow, with the red and the green. And I just thought, it's a little bit too in your face, even though it's a lovelier all over pattern. Then I had chosen this one. I pulled this and I thought, oh, it's so beautiful, because this has this gorgeous, gorgeous, lovely big print that I would either do a border or probably just a backing of that, or just make a quilt out of that lovely, gorgeous fabric. Isn't that beautiful? I don't know how much. It's called True Kisses by Heather Bailey. I never heard of her. Where did I get this? www.heatherbailey.com for Figo fabrics, F-I-G-O fabrics. That, I don't know, I don't even remember getting that, but isn't that glorious? Glorious. But I'm not going to waste that big, huge print on the back of a pillow. So I'm thinking, but again, I went shopping in my stash, and this is what I have come up with. Now you might think, well, it's completely, different. Oh, I think I have enough. Yeah, I must have enough. Now again, the clusters are in a pattern, but I think I can actually work with that fabric. And also what I like about it is, if it does get tossed, then I have my yellow ruffle, which you will see on this side. And I just think that goes really pretty. I just think it's lovely. And it is more subdued. And even though this is white and is bright, lovely vintage, this does look a little bit more vintage. So I could just use a white, but I have all this fabric and I'm going to use this one. So again, I've chosen this yellow and white stripe for my my ruffle. And I have about, I think I have almost 2 yards, maybe 1.25 yards of this, again, from my stash. But the way I make my ruffles, I are, again, on the cautious side of having more fabric. So what I'm going to be doing is I cut on this side. As you know, I do my 2-ruler method. So I've neatened up that one edge there. Now, depending on the size ruffle I want, for right now, I think I'm wanting about a 3-inch ruffle, okay? Or let me just go to here. I want a ruffle about that big around my lovely pillow, okay? It's going to be about that big, but it's going to be doubled. You see that? It's going to be doubled over. I'm not going to be hemming the edge of my ruffle. It's going to be a full ruffle, okay? So I'm going to measure that. That is 35. That's about 6 inches. Let me see here. That is about, yeah, that's about 6 inches. I'm going to make my ruffles. I'm going to cut my fabric here, 6 inches, like so. Now, I have measured my pillow, and it's obviously a 20-inch square. So that's 20, 40, 60, 80 inches around my pillow. So for one size, but I want a nice ruffled ruffle, so this is about 42. So say that is approximately 80 inches, okay, with 2 of them, okay, with 2 of them. So I'm going to cut another one. Now this is one, I'll get there in the end, I'll show you. So when I join these together, this will be, I'll join these end to end, and then I'm going to be making, this is one width of, this is one ruffle, but I want to maybe double it, maybe even triple it to make a nice full ruffle. So I'm going to be cutting, say I'm going to triple it. I'm going to be cutting 4 more of these. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my machine and I'm going to sew these together. And because it's a stripe with the right sides together, hopefully you can see it, yeah, with the right sides together, you just sort of joggle the stripe and you do like on the white there and hopefully the yellow's there. So when you open it up, you'll still have the yellow, white, yellow, white, yellow, white. So as I was saying, I'm going to be putting my strips one on top of the other. Now usually maybe I would do a bias seam to make these strips, but because this is a stripe, I'm not bothered about making a straight seam and then pressing it open. It's okay. So I'm going to be, what you do is you sort of mess about, you find the white line to the yellow. So you just want to make sure that you joggle it so that the white, seeing on the wrong side of the fabric, that the lines are matched up, so you don't have 2 solid lines put together. You keep the stripe. Now let me just show you if that has worked. Yes, it has. So there, I'm just going to continue. There's my seam. Hopefully you can see that, or hopefully you can't. But when I go to iron it, it's just yellow, white, and it continues along. So I'm just going to continue sewing my long, long ruffle together. So I've sewn them all together, and as the ends of these strips are on the selvage, both selvages, what I will do is I will just clip, just very carefully, just clip that selvage like that, or you could actually pink it to get rid of that tightly woven edge, selvage edge. So then when I press these open and then I turn it over, it'll be a nice relaxed seam. So I'm going to go press my seams open now, and I'm going to iron this whole long strip in half. So now comes the point where I'm putting my ruffle on. And I have been doing this forever, and it has involved a bit of math, but this doesn't mess me up because I've done this hundreds of times, figuring out ruffles and around how much to use. My pillow cushion here on the ends is 80 inches, 20, 40, 60, 80, okay? And as you saw, I want my ruffle 3 times ruffled up to go around my cushion cover. But how do I find out how much ruffle to ruffle into my cushion? So what I've done is I have a piece here, as you saw as I was cutting 6 of this twice of my thing and putting it of my ruffle and putting it together. So that equals my whole strip here of my ruffle is 252 inches long, okay? Now, if I want 3 times the amount, I have to measure my pillow 80 into 3, which comes out approximately 26 inches, okay? So from this point along 20 to down to here, which I've actually marked, a little mark there, little pencil mark, that's 26 inches. So I want to go from this point here, and there's 26 inches down here. And then, of course, this little mark here, that's 26 inches. So that is my cushion divided into 3 sections on the outside. So then I have to divide my my long 252-inch piece into 3, and I get 84 inches. There's 3 lots, 1, 2, 3 lots of 84 inches. Now what I will do is I will mark these. I'll mark that right there, like that. I'll mark that one. So now I have this one that's 84 inches. Now I have to, so from this end here to 84 inches along, which is to here, I have to get 84 inches of fabric ruffle into, say, this area here. Well, I'll start here. So I have to get 84 inches from here to here into my seam. So what I will do is I will just pin that. I'll pin that mark on that mark there, and then I'll come along, and of course this is the raw side, my folded raw side to the raw side here. And then I'll just find my 84, which is where? Along here, where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's to here. To there. This is my 84. Now obviously I'm going to have to, when I go around here, I'm going to have to join this seam here. But right now I'm just going to pin that there. I'm going to work with one area at a time to ruffle. So I have all of this from here to here, all this fabric to get into my ruffle, okay? So now what I do is I actually sort of fold that. I know there's a math way to do it, but I just sort of fold that in half again. It's out of the frame here, and it's about to there. And that's about the right, I put that one there, halfway along. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. And then I fold that one in half, like so. And that's about halfway along. And I do the same with this one. This is at the edge. This is here. I fold this in half to about there, and that's about halfway along. Now it's no great scientific thing. So now what I have done is when I go to my machine, all I know I have to do is I have to scrunch this bit of my ruffle into that area right there. From that pin to that pin. You see that? So there, I have a pretty ruffle. So hopefully this has made sense so far. What I have done, I've pinned every, like, whatever it is, every 6 or 8 inches of my ruffle to make sure that each piece is going to fit in that area. But as you saw in the very beginning, when I was doing this, I have two ends that aren't matched. So I've measured them sort of vaguely, and these are my 2 selvage ends, and I've just put them together. And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to do the right sides together, pretty sides together, and just make sure that this is marked. I know that that's to there. I got that. It's marked. And I'm just going to open this up, pretty side to pretty side, and sew that lot together right there. Selvage seam right there to relax it. And I'll just finger press that open like that. Like that. And then it's folded beautifully, like so. Now I will start. Now that seam goes to that mark, making sure that all my raw edges are in the proper place. So I'll start, say, at this pin here, and I have to get this lot, I have to get this much into this area right here, okay? And then I have to get this lot into this area here. So let me just mark, let's see, like that. So what I do is I put my needle down where that pin is, and I just start not pleating, and I'm just sort of scrunching it under like this, making sure that I can figure out this is 3 times the amount of fabric to go into this area, which is really quite nice. I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, I like that. It's a really nice full ruffle. As you can see, I'm just sort of with my thumb underneath and my finger pulling it along, ruffling it as I go until I come up to the next pin right there. Now I will go over, oops, I will go over and I will stitch this ruffle again because there's a lot of fabric to go into that ruffle. Now I'm up to my next pin and I'll do the exact same thing. I know that I have to push all of this fabric with my sort of my thumb underneath. I have to get all this fabric up to my corner. So there, right there, my needle is down. I'm going to lift my presser foot up and I'll just show you what I've done so far. Ah, look, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. So that, folks, right there, hopefully you can see that. That right there is a 3 times ruffle on a lovely cushion cover. Really, really very, very pretty. So now I'm just going to finish going from pin to marking, getting all that fabric up and putting it into this area here. And that's where I'll end. And, oh, it's so pretty. There is my lovely ruffly pillow cover. Hopefully you can see that. I'll hold it up, take pictures. There's my lovely cushion cover. The top of it now. Just that. So now I'm going to wait for my next video to show you how I'm actually going to put on the back, because this is just about how I'm adding my ruffle, which is yeah, it ended up really pretty. All right, folks, thanks so very much for following me. Love from the True Loves. See ya.